Here's a story time of how I caught my ex with another girl at a bar. And no, this is not my celebrity ex. So this guy and I had been together for quite a few years and we had a lot of trust in the relationship, but I was visiting my family in Florida. He was in New York where we lived. And he tells me that he's going to go have dinner with this mutual friend of ours who is a girl. He's hung out with her before. I know her and she studied at the same school that we studied in, so I didn't think anything of it and I just said fine. He said they were going to have dinner, so about 8 hours passed, and I realized I hadn't heard from him in those 8 hours, so I text him and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Are you home? So he says, yes, I'm actually home now, and I tell him, so what were you guys doing for 8 hours? And he says, we had dinner, we were talking a lot, and blah, 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 blah. And I just want to say I wasn't jealous at all in the relationship. We had a lot of trust, so we never checked each other's locations. But this time my instinct told me different. So, of course, I went and I checked his location. He must have forgotten that we had our locations turned on. So guess what? Part 2 of how I caught my ex with another girl at a bar. So it's about midnight and he just told me that he was home, but my instinct told me differently, and I always trust my instinct. So I went and I checked his location and it turned out that he was somewhere in Brooklyn and we lived in Manhattan on the Upper East Side. So I take a screenshot and I send it to him, and guess what he does? He doesn't reply to my messages and proceeds to turn off his cell phone for the next 30 minutes. During those 30 minutes, he kept turning on his phone so I would see his updated location. So I would take a screenshot every time he moved, and I could tell that he was in a moving car, obviously trying to haul ass back to the apartment where he said he was. So as he kept turning it on and off, I kept taking screenshots every time he would turn it on. I was literally staring at my phone for those 30 minutes on the toilet. I was collecting all the proof so that he had no way of telling me that I was making things up or that I was wrong. So finally he turns his phone back on and he's 2 blocks away from the apartment. Part 3 of how I caught my ex with another girl at a bar. So I can see from his location that he is now 2 blocks away from the apartment. So he calls me and pretends like nothing happened. And I said to him, hey, look, here are all the screenshots. Take a look and explain yourself. He knows he got caught at this point, so he started crying, hyperventilating, almost having a panic attack. And he always did this whenever I got upset at him. I decided to grill him anyway. He begins to explain that he was having dinner with her and they then decided to go to a bar because they were having such a great time, and that he didn't want to tell me that he was at a bar because he thought that I would get suspicious. And I said, well, why would you do that instead of just telling me the truth when that would not have upset me? What upsets me is that I caught you lying to me and that you're at a bar in Brooklyn with some other girl. I definitely lost my trust and I told him to send me a statement of the bar, a bank statement, anything that proved that he was at this bar at that time, which he didn't. Of course, yeah, we're no longer together. Yeah.